All right. We have a proper revenge story on our hands here with Failure Frame. I became the strongest and annihilated everything with low-level spells. Episode 1. God, they really need to shorten these titles because I swear to God, my YouTube videos cannot get any longer title-wise before they end up exploding. Hello, and welcome back. In this one, yes, we are indeed going to analyze episode 1 of Failure Frame. I mean, I love a good revenge story, who doesn't? And this is definitely a more recent trend in isekai, where you have these more pure revenge stories that don't follow the usual sculpt of the average isekai. Now, inevitably, many will compare this to Arifureta, which I will as well later in the video. But first, let us start with a quick synopsis here. We have our main character Toka, who had a lot of problems growing up, a seeming ton of domestic abuse that really shaped his personality from an early age and made him, timid and sort of bottled up and relinquished himself to being like a background character, being air, as they explain in this show. And we see how that is treating him, both in the real world before reincarnation and then after, when being thrown away and discarded by the goddess and basically all his classmates as well. And of course, that is when he cracks, when he breaks down, so to speak, and lets his true personality come out, or perhaps just lets his hatred run hot after all the abuse he has had growing up from foster parents, real parents, not sure, and just classmates and everyone in his life basically up until this point. The class just could not take anymore. And of course, that is where we end episode 1 with his revenge story really starting. Now, I have to say, I am somewhat happy with how they built his character in this episode, because in revenge plots like this, often they just sort of look over how he got to this point, why he has the personality he does, and how he would sort of crack and become this super dark, edgy edgelord type of character that would go on a revenge plot like this. But because, as I mentioned, he had this like hardcore domestic abuse growing up, and also because of the continued abuse he had from his classmates, and I assume even teacher at this point, because the teacher is definitely a POS as well in school, and he probably just had abuse and ridicule from every single angle in his life up until this point. And then there's that added extra bit of spice on top with the goddess and this reincarnation really just made him tip over the top. And that really is a good premise. Like, I really like that start. Like, this character is clearly fucked up. Like, this guy clearly has a lot of mental issues, and he's been barely keeping it together in the real world. But now in the isekai world, where he is discarded once again, and he's just being thrown to the wolves once again, he finally has had enough, and he just is going balls to the wall moving forward. Like, that is definitely something I can be on board with, I have to say. I will also give compliments to the start of this episode, because it really does help the premise and set up the atmosphere here. This bus trip, while it might at first glance just seem like a scene they feel like they have to have, some sort of obligatory scene before they are reincarnated, but they actually showcase a lot of interesting, valuable information in this scene that is useful. They clearly show the hierarchy in the class, how our main character Toka is basically treated as air. He's a background character that no one really pays attention to. Even when he tries to stand up to this Mr. Troublemaker character, we can see that while he has the intention and the will and the want to try to do something and step in, on the rare occasion he does. We immediately see that when he is confronted, he sort of backs down. He feels shy, he feels timid, he feels weak, right? He's not exactly expunging alpha energy with that interaction. And that really does a lot to just set the tone for how he is and how he is with the rest of the surrounding world, including his classmates in this case. And it also does a good job of just generally setting up the atmosphere, with the teacher being, well, far from a proper teacher, and of course the very sort of alpha pack leader of the class with the very cool haircut and, well, very cool guy in school vibe, right? And how, of course, everyone just sort of goes and gathers around him like he is just the deciding factor here. Like, he can just make one comment to end this troublemaker from doing what he's doing, while our main character couldn't even do anything because, he doesn't have any respect from anyone else in this class. And with that out of the way, yes, we get to the reincarnation, and we get to this goddamn POS goddess that, I just want to snap into and feed to the dogs and give as much pain and agony as possible to. That is one thing I definitely have to give props to this show for in episode 1, And that is that while I definitely have a fiery hate for basically the entire class, this goddess is something else. Like, goddamn, I hate her so much. So good job on making me just absolutely despise her. Because I do. I really do. Unlike just throughout this reincarnation, that they showcase the goddess to be just a piece of shit, right? I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, she sacrifices some, I don't know, criminal or whatever prisoner to a monster, has this person be eaten up and just killed before using it as some sort of demonstration to show off a spell of hers. Like, okay, clearly not a moral character here. And then just how she seems absolutely just like a smug, self-important, like knowing how valuable she is type of character. And how she just absolutely has no respect, no regard for anyone that she doesn't have any use for. Like, okay, are you useful to her? She'll treat you nice. You know, she'll pretend to be respectful. She'll pretend to be like a proper goddess in what the word actually entails. But if you aren't of use to her, like if you're weak, for example, and you can't be the hero she wants you to be to fulfill her fetch quest, basically, of defeating the demon lord, well, then you're just going to be discarded. And she'll smile and be happy about it and throw you away like dirt, because that's how she sees you. In addition, with this and these character traits, they clearly show of the goddess, just the micro expressions or also the very overt expressions she shows in the episode reinforces and emphasizes this even more. And since she is a goddess, I do wonder, as it seems like she has been around for a long time, maybe thousands of years, who knows, maybe since the start of this entire world. And she treats this sort of summoning session that she does every couple hundred years when the demon lord reincarnates like some sort of Sunday ritual, like, time to reincarnate people again. No, you're useful, you're useful, you're useful, you're not? Okay, throw away. Just send them to the pits of hell to be murdered because they're not useful to me. Like, okay, like this lady has a nasty personality, that's alright. I mean, at this point, I kind of just want to root for the demon army and the demon lord. It's like, hey, can I switch sides? Can I fight for the demon lord instead? Thank you. Of course, though, as is common and standard for reincarnation, they have stat windows, you know, they get classes S rank to E rank, and unique skills, and all these standard isekai things, right? And that's all fine and good. I do actually like, though, that they actually, in this anime, take a few seconds to, like, explain that, oh yeah, you can understand me because of a translation magic thing, and you can understand sort of the ranking system and whatnot because of this translation that makes it make sense for you from this other world, even though in this world it's called something else. That's a very small, minor thing, but something I still appreciate in shows like this, just to make it more believable, so to speak. But yes, this, of course, in the end leads to our main character being super weak and the goddess just scoffing at him and deciding to throw him away. Because in this world, apparently the goddess has decided that in the past, when she let every hero live, the weak ones dragged down the rest, which I assume impacted her final results. So then she decided to just start killing the weak ones, but she realized that that had a bad moral implication for the rest of the group. So instead, she just decided to start sending them off basically to a death sentence to avoid this infighting in the group of the heroes she summoned. Again, very hardcore POS goddess here, fully on display. But it's not only the goddess that deserves hate, because these classmates, almost all of them, I also hate almost equally as much. They seem more than happy to be complicit in murder, and most likely torture as well, to be fair here, while just allowing the goddess to send our main character to the, ruins of disposal. Damn, very apt name, I have to say. And is not doing anything to intervene. I suppose I will give brownie points to the council president, who seems to be a decently moral human being, and just a decent human being in general, that even though she's a S rank, she tries to intervene, being like, hey, he's our classmate, this isn't right, this is wrong, like this is just sort of evil. We can't just do this, we can't allow this. But then, of course, the goddess just goes over and gut punches her till she passes out. Goddamn goddess, dude. And no one else seems to intervene at all. A few of them, or a decent portion of them, like our main sort of golden prince, seem more than happy to just let him die and let him be sent to his death. And everyone that follows him mindlessly is of the same mindset. I mean, even making comments like, hey, the girls are tired, just, die already so we can go to sleep. It's like, god damn, these people are despicable. And even the rest of the group, probably half of them, that stay silent and take no action, are still as guilty here. Because to me, in a situation like this, when you don't even try to do anything like the council president did, when you just stay silent and take no action, you are equally as guilty as anyone else in this area, in this group. Even the sisters that call these other characters scum. I mean, hey, you're doing nothing either. You're letting this happen. I'm not going to say you're off the hook here. You're not a good person either, I have to say. It's So don't come here trying to say they are the only scum around. And then even the other people in the class here that might have been picked on, like the one specifically we see when he comes up and asks, you know, are you all right, Toka, to our main character, which for a second makes you think that, oh, okay, we get this flashback to how Toka helped him when he was bullied in school. Maybe he'll be kind to him and, you know, try to balance things here so not everyone are assholes. But no, because he got a rank, or like a high rank as a hero here, he finally feels that it's his time. Now I can be a dick too, which is not the best development for the character, you know. Usually, hopefully, a person, when they get power, will not abuse it like the ones that abused him, but no, he does. So he just ridicules him, demands respect, like, no, now I'm a big shot, and you're still trash. Which also makes me hate him too, which I guess is the point, to be fair. And yeah, then he's just sent to the ruins of disposal by the end of the episode. But yeah, I have to say, at this time, like, definitely, like, yeah, I have to say that I hate everyone. Like, I hate kind of every single person in this world outside the main character and I guess the student council president. Everyone else, if you want to murder all of them in a gruesome fashion, I'm on board. Go ahead. Do it as hard and bad as you want to. I don't mind. Just go crazy. So in that sense, I have to give props to the anime for really making us despise all these people in such a efficient manner. Hopefully they keep it up and make this revenge story really hit hard and give us sweet justice by the end. Now, if you made it this far in the video, do please remember to like and subscribe. It greatly helps out the channel, and I thank you kindly for that, so thank you for the support. Now, as I mentioned before, many people will end up referencing Arifureta and thinking of this as a very similar show to Arifureta. Arifureta 2.0, you might say. And well, yes, this is a very similar story from the outset. There are some key differences, but yes, of course, we have the standard seeming bullied background character, gets reincarnated in a different world, is still really weak, has an ability that seems weak at the outset, but actually turns out to be super strong and usable, and then he goes on his revenge plot to get justice or revenge for what's happened to him. So in that sense, yes, it's very similar to Arifureta, but I do hope it doesn't actually go the same route as Arifureta did in terms of him just sort of living his own life and not really seeking revenge. I mean, there are certain differences here in that in this show, like the goddess is a POS, which we don't have in Arifureta, and the classmates are also mostly all POSs as well. While in Arifureta, there's only one character that is like a murderer, really, and a POS. The rest are like oblivious to an extent, or a few characters are good. But here it's like more of a universal, everyone is bad. So especially in this case, it's even more of a reason for him to just hopefully go all out and just dish out hard justice and punishment in the later episodes. And same as Arifureta as well, it does seem like, hey, we're being introduced to the elf waifu at the end of the episode, and, you know, he's gonna have a party of waifus, of harem waifus, I assume, exactly the same as Arifureta, and he's gonna go around getting stronger with his harem group before probably later in the season coming back and having his confrontation with the goddess and the rest of the class. Now, I don't mind if they would stretch this out to like a second, third season thing, where we don't get like an end justice, sort of the goddess being, you know, properly singed and whatnot before way later after season 1, or the first 12 episodes rather. But at least giving some sort of, well, good feeling retribution by the end of the season will be a good start at least. Now, my overall first impressions of this show are decently good. Like, I love a good revenge story, and as I've said, they did a really good job making me absolutely despise basically everyone in this show, so I'm happy to see them suffer.
Suffer as I have.
And just absolutely go balls to the wall, hopefully, and dish out justice in this anime later in the season, or sometime later after that. I really hope they actually go for it and don't pussy out. I really hope they actually just show him just severing people in half, like even torturing them. I don't care. Like, I want to see justice, I want to see revenge, I want to see them really just go balls to the wall and not be PG here. If they do that, I might be very invested in this story and feel very happy after the end. These stories can be super engaging, right? If they're done right and they're focused on the main story and character. They've done a decent job of establishing why our main character is the way he is. You know, the abuse he suffered, how he grew up, how he is, why he is how he is now, and why he is cracked. Better than Arifureta, at least. And if they keep exploring his character throughout the season in flashbacks and other things as he goes around the world, and as he grows stronger, I think that'll be an enjoyable ride, to be sure. Again, I do hope they actually go for the very revenge-focused plot and not the Arifureta route of I'm just going to live my own life and not bother with anyone else. I think that's kind of not what I'm looking for in a story like this, but we will have to see what they end up doing here. I also have to make a small comment on the monster designs and animation. The monster designs are not my cup of tea. Same as with Arifureta, this sort of CGI monster setup is not something I enjoy. I want proper animation. I don't want these sort of weird looking CGI monsters. It's just not really my cup of tea. And if the fights are all like heavy CGI, I'm gonna be not too satisfied with that at all, to say it lightly. Anyhow though, a decently strong first episode. I'm definitely invested in seeing more of this story. Now I assume we won't get any sort of poetic justice here for a long time. I do also wonder if they're going to do the dual perspectives, showing our main character and showing the classmate group like they did in Arifureta, or if they're only going to show the main character and not at all the goddess or the other group before the inevitable clash sometime in the future. We'll have to see with interest how that develops. But yeah, what did you think of episode 1 of Failure Frame? Like it, hate it, leave those comments down below. Of course, any other comments on myself, video, anything else, just leave everything down below, okay? It's been a long day. That being said, I have many more shows to cover today because I am behind. So hope you have a nice day. Keep watching anime, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.